Hello, everybody. Here you are on this beautiful Sunday morning. I admire your perseverance, enthusiasm for Dharma, and let's see, what else could it be? Devotion, authenticity, the search, seeking for authenticity in every moment you experience as a living, breathing being. What could be more exciting a venture, a journey than that? I'm talking for a little bit, then we're going to do a guided meditation. So just pointing this out. Last week, a couple of weeks ago, when Joel was at the Saratoga, and one of the topics that came up was discrimination, discriminating. And I appreciated that discussion, and I wanted to talk a little bit more about that this morning. You know, ultimately, from the viewpoint of the goal of a spiritual practice, it's to go beyond, to be aware of and transcend, or go beyond being controlled by our thoughts. So the step-by-step movement or progression towards sanity, let us say, involves discriminating between awareness and the thoughts that seem to chaotically, randomly arise in our awareness. Chaos, random. We don't know what we're going to think next, but they have the power to either remove us from the present moment and bring us into worry and anxiety about how that current thought is going to affect the quote-unquote future that my mind imagines, or it brings me back into the past, trying to figure out, how did this happen? What's this about? What is the cause of this? Who can I blame? What's wrong here? What's wrong? So the capacity to recognize each and every thought as a creative, wholesome, or creative, unwholesome trigger that's either going to carry us forward in anxiety, disturbance, all worry, all kinds of negative activities of the body-mind that bring about nothing but hardship and suffering. And on the path, we're here to end suffering. And so often we've got to remember that's what it's about. Curiosity is great, but you don't want to be curious with things that are taking you down the same morbid, disturbing paths that you've gone down hundreds of thousands of times before. You know where jealousy, anger, impatience, annoyance, lust, aggression, you know where all those thoughts are bringing you to. Hell. Hell in the immediate moment. Now, you may not recognize that. You may not recognize the importance of every thought you're having if you just keep getting hijacked by them, otherwise known as identifying with a thought. So it has various components. One, you don't even know you're having that thought. By the time you recognize you're having it, you're gone. It's taken you away. Oh, right there. Touch and go. These are the teachings of Trungpa Rinpoche, one of the first great Tibetan teachers who came to America. You touch that distraction, that thought, with a recognition that it is a thought. And then, depending upon how far you have progressed in your spiritual practice, you can recognize it as a negative thought that is just geared towards conditioning or habit. And you know your habits bring you into places you'd rather not go again, yet you seem to keep winding up there again and again and again. So this is a discrimination, an intelligence, a clarity, an awakeness, a wakefulness to the power of your presence, meaning the space of awareness, in which all these thoughts are arising, showing themselves for periods of time, changing as they're appearing, and dissolving once again into this open, lucid, clear, wakeful presence. Your awareness with the qualities of spacious, open, roomy, gentle, great capacity, and most importantly, groundless. This presence has no ground. It's not stuck anywhere. It's not like a floor that you have to open a secret compartment and then the presence keeps dropping through it. It's groundless to begin with. This is the flow of appearances in the space of your awareness. And if we allow this Tao to flow through us, this awareness, this presence, we also develop the capacity to recognize and label thoughts with intelligent clarity rather than be carried away by them. Only to wake up part of the way can either take seconds, minutes. It can become a theme of your morning. It could become the impetus, the pearl in the shell of the mollusk, whatever kind it is, that is causing you to be irritated for the rest of the day because you were hijacked by a very powerful thought or issue, completely captivated you, and now you're off and running. And so this lack of recognition, this lack of touching on the thoughts as they appear and letting them go, which is not ignoring them, not indulging them, simply seeing them. But you're not giving up this groundless, spacious, extremely gentle openness, mildness. It's a calmness, it's a peacefulness that can be with almost anything. I say almost because as soon as you think you have the capacity to be with everything, something's going to pop up that's going to grab you. And so that the sin of vanity does not overtake your psyche. So this capacity to discriminate thoughts, and to one of the Zen stories which perfectly describes it, is that as a host, this awareness, this spaciousness, this presence, you could say is a host for the whole universe to display itself. And as a host, as a good host, you open your door so who's ever there can come in. But you also have your back door open. So as thoughts arise, do you want to sit with them and serve them tea? Or do you want to not serve them tea and to let them go their way? And I remember hearing that story years and years ago, decades and decades ago. And I must say that because of the emptiness, the infinite potential of the path that we walk, the meaning of that has changed through the years. And now more than ever, I understand it's not about restricting appearances. It's not about banning books, banning your thoughts, trying to control what is uncontrollable. Thoughts are uncontrollable. It's about being spacious enough to let them arrive, let them be recognized with respect, acknowledging the power of every thought, and then letting it go its way. Or creatively, like Joel and Tom writing a book, creatively, you're just using the potential of your mind in a creative way with the motive to end suffering in your own mind and in the mind of all others who are lost and struggling with the lack of understanding and the lack of capacity to creatively work with their thoughts. So this brings up, what about discrimination? Because ultimately, to fully awaken to the reality of who we are, this awareness, this openness, this presence with whatever is arising, is related to being able to glimpse deeper and deeper, vaster and vaster moments of liberation from habits, from thoughts, from patterns of behaving that pop up, and we could recognize them in the space of awareness, and we could choose to not indulge them. So there is a power of choice involved. But now let's not get all caught up in thinking either we have free choice or we don't. Those are extreme views, ideas that are not, the question itself, the way they're being framed, does not reflect reality. The reality is, in our moment-to-moment experience, we do not know what we're going to think next. No matter how we try to control situations, there's always, thank heavens, an unruly appearance of something we couldn't predict and we cannot control. And this appearance, you must understand, don't get fooled by people having all these academic conversations about, is there free will? Is there no free will? Is the universe chaos and random? Is everything predictable? You just have to know what to look for and predict it. Without getting caught up in those extreme views, can you have the direct experience based upon your direct experience and your study of the Dharma, be it the Christian mystics, the Hindus, the Sikhs, the Buddhist, the scientific view of humanism, all the various different views. In your immediate experience, can you perceive that there's a wakefulness, a knowing, you just knowing, and then some content, either of the five senses or of a thought, is arising in the space of your awareness? When we study Dharma, one of the most important and crucial points that keep being pointed out again and again, because the ego does not want to accept this as fact. What ego is that? The ego that doesn't exist, but keeps popping up habitually because of our ignorance of what's actually happening. And our ignorance of this crucial fact, there is no independent, self-existing I. That's at the back of the show, the story of I. There's no such thing. There is no personal I. You look for it if you're taught how to look. You will just keep being dropped into a spaciousness, an unknowingness, yet a presence remains. But there's no concept as an answer to this query that can satisfy you or anybody else, be you a scientist, a theologian, whatever. It's just not going to happen. So this process, as a spiritual practitioner, you begin to appreciate is a process of previous causes and conditions arising, habits. We call them habits. I did this 500 times. So now when similar circumstances arrive, the probability of my doing this for the 501st time is going to be higher than thinking out of the box of my habit and doing it another way. So causes, previous causes and conditions. So where is the choice involved here? The more we habitually, out of ignorance, out of lack of paying attention, you might say, just keep repeating things over and over and over on automatic, partially out of laziness. Laziness is considered one of the faults, one of the problems on a spiritual path. You're too lazy to not follow habit. You're too lazy to not be on automatic, to just stop, drop, breathe, and go, okay, what's happening? And not looking for a verbal answer, but literally dropping into your body, into your breath, into the spaciousness of this very moment. And simply being aware of what's going on, body and mind. So before we go any further, let's do a guided meditation together, because in our moment-to-moment experience, we use the body as a host of what's happening. We can hear a bird sing, we could see the blue sky, we could see a spring flower. We can experience anxiety and anger over a thought that keeps wanting to put an enemy in front of my mind to be the thing or the situation or the person to blame for all my anxiety. But what we fail to notice there is that we are lost and hijacked by a thought of ignorance. First of all, looking for one thing to blame. There's no such thing ever to be found. And then we're also having all kinds of anxiety in our body based upon a thought that we didn't even touch on, recognize for what it was. Rather, we were hijacked by it. So our whole body and mind is caught up in this process of suffering that's all made up. And sometimes this is portrayed with the image of a snake versus a rope, a rope that's has colored rope with patterns on it. We create a snake where there is none. There's only this rope, this tangled rope of thoughts we're having, reactions of emotions, and energetic channels in the body getting all worked up. And we then are this constellation of anxiety, constellation of worry, a constellation of intolerance, a constellation of, oh, I can't catch up with myself, I have so much to do, anticipation, all kinds of emotional states taking over not only the space of our awareness, but our mind in every cell of our body. The channels of energy, the subtle energetic expression of every thought pulsing through every cell of our body is all wrapped up in this entanglement. And we're Then we're calling it a snake. Something really bad. Something really bad just bit me. And then you're trying to figure out, where is that snake? How does that snake act? What did I do wrong? And there's this incessant, something wrong with me, not enough. I can't figure out why I'm so miserable for the last 2 hours. And you blame yourself. And this all coming up because of lack of clarity about the selfing process. So without going crazy with it, but how could we enjoy being with this equally as with any other appearance? Well, here's where bliss comes in. And years ago, 1998, in fact, Joel led a retreat, and the name of the retreat was, Joel, you remember this? Follow Your Bliss. And that was the first time someone gave me permission to experience the delight of not having to figure everything out and to simply abide in the presence and the spaciousness and the openness and the without expectation, without hoping for anything, without afraid of anything, to simply just be with the whole display. And so for me personally, that brought me slab dam into my body. And every one of my senses expressed themselves to me in my moment-to-moment experience. And most importantly, the mind that I didn't allow to hijack me. And the way I ended up expressing this, because I was such a consumer in those days, because I was still like getting my household together. We love to consume things for our house. So I was like, I would be driving on the highway to Costco, because here where I live, it's the middle of nowhere. To get anything, you got to drive hundreds of miles. And so once I got to a place like Reno, there'd be all these exits. Oh, you could exit onto Pier 1 Imports. Oh, you could exit onto Costco. Oh, you could exit onto Trader Joe's. Oh, you could exit onto this. And I would just keep going. That's what it felt like, to not be distracted by exits, hijacked by thoughts, but to remain this highway, this flow of awareness with appearances, recognizing the exits, recognizing where I could go with these things, but staying present, being on the highway that is groundless. It's not going anywhere other than identifying appearances for what they are, remaining in open, spacious, blissful, infinite presence with whatever is showing its display, and developing confidence and trust and devotion in the practice that is allowing us to recognize the true nature of our being, our Buddha nature, the God within us, the presence, the infinite, while the immediate things appear, display, change. There's something that is not changing. There's not a something. Oh, gee, it's not a thing. But it's always here. It's always spacious. I'm always already aware of anything and everything that will come and go. So the body-mind connection, let's play with it a little bit. So we remember our motivation. Why do we meditate? We practice to alleviate suffering in our own mind stream and in the mind stream of all other suffering sentient beings. And we offer this effort and dedicate it to the awakening of this and all the worlds of experience. So simply become aware of the movement of thought. I'm sorry, that too, but let's start with the movement of our breath. You can actually discern it as a sensual, a tactile, a direct, immediate sensation. I just use the word breath, discard it. No more thoughts about it required. Simply feel the movement of breath in your body. And now allow your attention to drop in, to rest in your lower body, your pelvis, where your buttocks are making contact with your seat. And simply feel whatever tactile sensation is immediately arising there in your attention. And also the movement of your breath. So we have 2 points of reference, the pelvis and the movement of breath. And there's no actual point in any of this. There's simply sensations arising in the space of your awareness. And that awareness is in your pelvis and the movement of thoughts, the movement of breath and thoughts are also happening in the space of your awareness. So remain this open space of knowing, recognizing sensations in your lower body and the movement of breath throughout your entire body. Now we're not taking a nap because we've dedicated our effort and our practice. So let's rise to the occasion. Now allow your attention to rise to your belly, your lower belly. And as you do so, see if you can perceive any tension there, tightness. And as you exhale, allow your exhalation to effortlessly saturate your lower belly. Saturate the awareness of whatever sensation is there and allow it to dissolve into the space around you, beneath you, in front of you, to your left, to your right, above, 360 degrees. Exhalation into the space around you. After saturating your whole belly and pelvis with your loving, tender, open, spacious awareness, you may feel your gender as you do this, the juice of your presence. Try not to think about it, just allow me to be your thinker for a short time and guide you into a simple way of being. Allow every exhalation to effortlessly pervade your pelvis and belly and dissolve into the space around you. You may feel your legs waking up, your toes tingling, or not. And this effortless breathing, we're not forcing anything. Simply noting and feeling. Filling what we normally don't feel. The donkey. The poor donkey. Going here, going there, without any appreciation from the master. Here we are being kind to our immediate sensation and to the movement of breath of our body. With every exhalation, we're releasing into the space around us. Now allow your attention to rise in your body up to your upper abdomen, above your navel, beneath your rib cage, and simply feel the movement of breath. and how the lower part of your body inflates as you breathe in, ever so slightly. Some of you may begin to feel the turning of the breaths, how your in-breath slows, and you can feel it effortlessly becoming an out-breath, which effortlessly turns and becomes an in-breath. You can feel your in-breath filling your body with life force, and you can feel the effortless exhalation releasing through your sensation and out into the space around you. And as your breath calms, relaxes, and releases effortlessly, allowed to inhale and exhale, you perceive that in order to remain clear with this process, you will need to be very attentive, to be subtly attentive to these subtle sensations. Wake up call, and let us continue. Breathing in, feeling your pelvis, your abdomen, and now allow your attention to rise to the center of your chest, as if it's sitting in your heart, attention sitting in your heart. And breathing in, feel your whole heart area inflate, expand, a lightness of being with your in-breath. And as you exhale, release into the space around you. Breathing into your heart, inflating, perceiving the turnaround effortlessly, exhaling through the sensation and out into the space around you, through the space of your sensation and out into the space around you. This is the inner yoga, the practice of non-clinging to any thought that arises or to the existence of any sensation as being real, solid, or permanent. We're directly experiencing the impermanence of all appearances, be they of the body or the mind. There's a beautiful, peaceful stillness, openness, mildness, and presence, always already here and always there as the next breath or thought or sensation appears, displays, and disappears again. Now allow your attention to rise up to your throat, your voice, a space of sound. You may feel your shoulders release, soften, drop as you breathe, and feel your throat filling with the lightness of air as you breathe in. You may also sense a tightness or an energy there. Let it be as it is. And continue to breathe into that open center of neck, throat. And as you exhale effortlessly, allow your exhalation, that air, to move through the sensation in your throat, through every cell, 360 degrees through your neck, into the space of the room. Ah. Now once again, feel your heart and your throat, and feel your abdomen filling with air. And feel the sensations on your cushion in your pelvis. Your whole lower body lit up with your attention, your loving, kind regard for the miracle, the moment by moment miracle of appearance. And now, if you can, breathe in through your nostrils and simply experience the movement of air through your nostrils, behind your nose, back into your spine, down through your whole body, filling your pelvis with air, your abdomen, your heart, your neck, your whole trunk. And as you exhale, simply breathe out through the space of your body and into the space around you. body is lit up with awareness. And now breathe in between your ears, between your forehead and the top of the spine, the back of the neck. As you breathe in, feel your whole head filling with this lightness of being, this awareness. And as you exhale, fill your head with this breath of life and allow your exhalation to continue out into the space around you. Releasing, letting go. Now, as your breath calms and settles, you may perceive at the end of your in-breath a thought, a vision, an image, a memory. Simply note it and offer it into the space around you without being seduced by it, without pushing it away, simply letting it be, letting it go its way in the open, mild, clear, spacious, gentle presence, openness of awareness. So presence, first and foremost, always already here. Always clear and openness, spaciousness, willingness to not close off, not attach, not be hijacked, but to remain as is, clear, bright, luminous, spacious. This spacious willingness is compassion, is loving kindness, is love. Is the host of all you will ever experience. It is tolerant, kind, doesn't judge, it allows, it reveals, it pervades, it supports, it cares. It is a peaceful stillness of knowing all and everything. Spacious presence is kindness. Where there is discomfort, it opens, it feels, It pervades with loving care. It doesn't demand change. It doesn't judge appearances within or without. It simply allows its gentle, spacious roominess to pervade, to fill with loving kindness whatever is appearing within our body, within our mind. It is the always nurturing, always potentiating, always learning from everything presence that allows the universe to unfold. And with every appearance, the clarity of your luminous presence recognizes and releases, offers all experience back to the source. Call it God, call it Buddha nature, call it the great mystery, Allah, Jesus. Simply feel it. It doesn't need 1,000 names, but it can have 1,000. It simply is always already here. Stillness, awareness, groundless infinity, presence. And remain this presence in your heart. Well, thank you for your attention. So I mentioned earlier about the extreme idea of, on one side there's a self, on the other side there's the uh, intellectual understanding as practitioners. There is no self, there's just a process. And then there's the conflict of, well, if there's no self, then there's just this random, chaotic expression going on because it's outside of just me. It includes everyone and everything. And so this brings up the idea of absolutely every appearance. Now you can think about a pond, think about a stone falling in, being thrown into a pond, and the circles of energy resonating. And then another comes in, and then another rock comes in, and then it's just this interdependent, like a net of energy, interrelating, interdisplaying, affecting on a relative level all the energies of physics and science and the theories and whatever we're calling it or trying to investigate. It's all happening. And the happening of it will remain an infinite mystery. Because if you think God isn't that, then your goal is futile. But in the display of the infinite, we learn from everything if we don't give up our capacity, our spaciousness, our presence that can host everything and that can note, that can discriminate. Is this a wholesome pattern, thought process, evaluation, or judgment that will lead to suffering in my mind stream and in my body, speech, and mind? Or is this the creative fire of a wholesome thought motivated by bodhicitta, loving, wakeful presence that cares about suffering in my own mind and in the mind and hearts, body, speech, and mind of all other sentient beings? We are always with in one form or another. And so beyond the random chaos and beyond the predictability and beyond the I, the self behind all experience, there is the cause and effect, cause and consequence, all of scientific theory that perceives how every force has an effect, every action a reaction. There is no greater force in this universe than sentience, than Buddha nature, than the power of awareness that is the host, creator, and experiencer of all appearances, all displays. So the more we are at home in the space of unknowing, meaning it's immediate and direct, it doesn't need to give its immediate direct experience and put it in a pickle jar and cover it and say, I have a concept, I know what this is. That's what's meant by unknowing. It's not that you don't have direct experience or direct insights. It is simply allowing the unmediated, unintellectual, direct experience and allowing these insights to come out of direct experience rather than preconditioned ideas of what's happening. So that's why we gently note thoughts, gently note labels, and we observe gently with openness how every thought we have has an effect on our body and mind. Just like in the morning, we wake up, we brush our teeth, wash our face, we take showers, we're taking care of our houses, our beautiful plants, giving them what they need, all these opportunities to have resistance. Oh, I don't feel like doing this. To have all the experiences about When you have things, you've got to take care of them, et cetera, et cetera. And so we allow this whole display of grasping and aversion to go on in our mind. We have endless opportunity of playfulness to happen. And when we don't just kind of shove ourselves into an OCD, obsessive compulsive, it's got to be like this and we've got to do it now, and it's which is not laziness, nor is it compulsion, but it's just watching the show. Just like you go into a restaurant, it's not that you don't look at the menu and you don't know about this or that. You just watch the whole interplay and then you do something. And so the greater the space is revealing the endless possibilities while your body and mind remain open, groundless, meaning room for everything. Let it come, let it go. The more we can be the presence that is always already here for all arising, displaying, and dissolving, the greater our capacity to respond with the motivation of causing happiness, creativity, joy, play, discovering parts of ourselves and others that we've never experienced before. This is an ability to respond, responsibility, the great creative seed of infinite potential to abide as sentient beings. So I don't think I want to say anything more here. I'd like to open it up for people to share or ask for clarification. Okay. Oh, I didn't finish my thought. Just like we brush our teeth and do everything for our body, for our stuff, we've got the most important clearing is the clearing of our awareness of thoughts, which are issues. They pop out. They have the most energy. And to just pay attention, to note, as again Trungpa said, to touch on the power of thought, the naming and the labeling, and the capacity of thoughts which don't exist as solid things, but have the capacity to bring us into infinite worlds of experience, to touch, to recognize, and to offer with the motivation of loving kindness for ourselves and others. Okay. Well, it's been a joy to be with you all today and to see you. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the day. Peace.